Whenever you're ready, Suzanne. I see. Yep. Excellent. Okay. Okay. This is the March 13th meeting of the Conservation Advisory Council. The first thing we're going to do is welcome our new clerk, Suzanne, back there. We now have a clerk, finally, so.
Talented, I think.
Yeah, I'm very talented. That's what we need. Okay, first thing we call the meeting to order. 5 of us present. I see we have Roxanne on Zoom. We have a couple of other people, Pam and Matt Sherman. So, all right, we'll start with the minutes of the last meeting. Anybody have any objections to them? We corrected them. I think they're all right. Take a vote on passing them.
Yep.
Make a motion when we pass the.
Second.
And we take a vote. 5-0. Okay. The next thing we have is to start our special permit application for Liberty Lawn Care at 17 North Ferry Road. This is pretty straightforward. If anybody got a chance to look at this. Well, minor things. First of all, unfortunately, you got to know the island to know where it is because there's no sign that it says it's 17 North Ferry Road. And you know, so you look at and you look at the site plan, and one of my objections was that the site plan still shows the house. It should be fixed up so that the house is gone. It's been demolished. I don't know. I guess they didn't need a permit to do that or whatever.
No, I think you got one.
Probably did.
Yeah.
So what I wrote down on my objections, and anybody else has, I said, the survey dated should indicate the present condition as it is now on the site and not show the old house and stuff like that, which we have. It's okay because the new survey takes care of it, but there's a little confusion, that's all. Maybe that can be put, I don't know. Matt, do you know if we can clear that up a little bit? Is Matt on?
Yeah, I'm on. Thanks. I'm not, I helped Walter initially with this, but he's doing this application himself.
Okay.
You know, I really don't think there's any real confusion. Clearly the house is gone and the survey was done prior to that. So, you know, I don't know. That's if you guys all really feel that there's confusion as to whether there's a house there or not, he can have the surveyor update the survey, but I don't know.
And that's not confusion that, I mean, we know there's no house there. We've been there.
Septic's abandoned too. Everything's out of there.
Septic's out of there too. Right?
We did that like a year ago.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep. So I think it was just that we have these old plans that show, that don't make much sense. So a site plan approval by New York State Department of Transportation. But, I don't know. I just like to always have the plans matching what's there at the time when we go look at the site. So it's nothing serious or anything like that, but maybe, I don't know if the town is going to require you to do that, coordinate that, but.
Yeah, and I can let Walter know that he should, you know, he can adjust or whatever the case may be, because the hearing hasn't, I guess the hearing has been set. I don't think he's going to end up trying to postpone it for at least a month so that he or his son can present it to the town. So they'll have a little bit of time to address any concerns that you guys have, or when the planning board looks at this, any concerns that they have.
Yeah, there's, like I said, I mean, you go there, you know what's been done, and maybe submit the Suffolk County Department approval for removal of the existing septic system.
There is no approval for the removal.
Yeah, there's no approval,
of the
just an
existing
abandonment
septic.
certificate.
It was just an abandoned,
Yeah, that's, just give him an
Yep.
abandonment certificate, yeah,
and he's putting in a new one,
yeah, yeah.
so.
And he needs a special permit from the town and the secret determination from the town prior to getting the approval from the health department for the new septic. So there is no health
Nothing.
department approval yet.
Right. Okay, the last thing was, on the site plan, C1 dated 3/24/22, it conflicts with the special permit application, paragraph E, which says the site development evergreens for shade, not for shading, blocking instead of the stockade fence, and they're not indicated. So I don't think this hedge. Yeah, it's a hedge, but that hedge isn't there. It just, and the evergreens aren't there. I think he's going to put in just the stockade fence, but that needs some
Yeah.
clarification.
Okay, yeah, I can have him clarify that.
Okay, that's all. And that was it. Anybody else have anything on that? Thanks. That one away. Okay, next one is McCann Wetlands.
Got two different ones, I got,
You got the ones for next week.
that's next.
Next month.
Oh, okay, all right, right, okay.
This one is at 12 Westmoreland Drive, Wetlands. This one. And a couple of small items. My largest concern is if we can move the house shown, if we could move it 10 foot closer to Westmoreland Drive to avoid construction in the adjacent regulated area, instead of digging up that area. I guess there's reasons for it, but there's plenty of room on that site to move it forward. It'll just get a little bit closer to the existing in-ground pool. And then you wouldn't be disturbing any of the adjacent regulated area. So if we could consider that, that would be a nice thing to do. Otherwise, everything looks pretty good.
Okay, good, thanks.
Your recommendation, Howard, is recommending.
I'm recommending to move the house 10 foot toward Westmoreland Drive to avoid construction in the ARA. I don't see any reason.
If I could just point out on that
Sure.
too, that the proposed house footprint is going over top of the existing house footprint, the existing house that's to be removed. So
Mhm.
yes, you are correct that if we moved it 10 feet landward, we wouldn't be reconstructing or having the replacement in the same location, but we're not talking about, there's no new construction or new footprint, I should say, in that adjacent regulated area.
Well, I'm putting in a new basement wall? I would think so.
Well, it's new construction, yes, but it's in the same location as the existing.
Yeah, well, the reason
So
why is,
they're not expanding the footprint, which is what I said. There's no expanding of the footprint within that adjacent regulated area. There's actually a small, and it's not much, but it is a small shrinking of a footprint in that area.
it would be nice if we could get out of there so the construction doesn't go into that area, but
Understood, okay.
they're gonna be chopping up that whole area. And then I guess that existing staircase, that's coming out because that's not required anymore. And when I look at the plans, I don't see really why it couldn't be done. I mean, it's just, with the, the floodings that we're having here now, it's getting, the wetlands is going to get further and further inland. It's right.
All right.
this is the existing house, and they're gonna add, and.
Oh, this is the
build
pool, the
right-
cabana?
Yeah, that's
okay.
all way away. There's no
Right, right,
problem
right.
with that.
Yeah.
The existing house is right about here,
Mhm.
where he's putting the new house. But this is all gonna be excavated. This is coming out, and all this excavation. There'll be a lot of work in that ARA.
Right, right.
That was my concern. I try to keep as much out of that adjacent regulated areas. If you can give a good reason why not moving it, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, look at the size of this game going down and this construction of this big wall. I'm not saying reduce the size, all I'm
Right,
saying is
right,
just move it.
yeah, move it back. It's only 10 feet.
Yeah, 10 feet would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I mean,
Be
it's
completely out.
reasonable.
That was one of my notes on that.
The pool patio's already in.
They're putting in a new pool pad, proposed deck and stuff in.
Right,
So
right.
that would be, that's all being done. There's an existing pool
Right,
over
right.
here and there's a patio there. So,
Oh, this is the existing house there.
yeah, the existing,
Yeah, so they could just go back.
yeah, I mean, you got room to the site plan. I don't see any problem. And then the septic system going in, it would just come down a little.
Well, they're out of the 100 anyway with that, so.
Yeah, they're okay with that, but it's
Yeah.
again, the construction portion of it. So that was the first thing.
Are they still gonna have to tear that wall out though?
Yeah, they're
I
gonna,
would
Is that the
think-
same amount of digging?
yeah, I mean, they're gonna tear it all out.
They have to tear it.
Yeah.
I would
So they'll
think,
block
right, Matt?
Yeah.
Foundation.
A new
Yeah, that's
foundation.
correct. That existing wall, none of that is going to stay. So none of the existing foundation stays. So
Yeah,
it is correct that that's all being taken out.
right. So it's something to try to improve the island. Yeah, would be helpful. Also, the dry well, keep that out of the ARA. I mean, you can move that over. I don't know, there might be a problem getting it too close to your septic system.
It's gotta
That's
be
exactly
minimum
right.
10 feet away, minimum.
10 feet away.
Yeah,
If you move the house and you move that whole, I don't know.
right, right,
The
right.
whole thing would fall in, but I'd like to get that out of that area. Because it's just adding water into our wetlands there. I don't know how.
What do you mean? I don't quite understand.
Well, the
that.
drainage from the roof is going to be flooding into the wetlands down about 5 feet. So you're causing all sorts of water to run into that area that we don't really like that much runoff into that area.
Well, it's all gonna go into dry wells.
There's
like the roof.
no runoff. It's
No,
all
the
being
dry
put
well,
in underground.
but the dry well seeps out,
Right, right.
doesn't stay in the dry
No,
well.
no, it runs right back in the water tank.
Right.
Yeah.
But not as runoff.
No, not on grade. but-
Recharge below.
It's a recharge, but there's nothing to recharge there. Right on the shoreline, really, you know.
Well,
Yeah, none of those.
no, they're up
none of
pretty
those
high.
dry
What's
wells.
what's the elevation there? It's probably like 15
It's
feet.
pretty high,
15.
yeah.
Right at about 15 at the house, just
Yeah.
14 to 15.
Yeah, that's fine,
Okay,
you know.
so you think we should keep that in there? Don't,
Yeah, I mean, you know, the
Okay.
thing is, you know, I mean, we're gonna be kind of more responsible for maintaining this 100-foot line from now on, since the town board is not gonna be doing this stuff. As
Well,
as a review.
that's a matter of opinion.
Well, it depends on how it goes, but I mean, I think if possible, if anything, everything could stay out of the 100-foot line, that would be great. But,
Yeah,
you know, back from that, if there's no reason why it shouldn't be able to. But, you know,
Oh,
this is kind of a different situation, but
well, yeah, every site is,
specific.
has to be treated
Right, right.
differently. You can't just say one thing is good.
Yeah.
I mean, and I realize that this is up high, so
Hmm.
it's a good thing, but
Yeah,
if we can move it, we should move it. And I understand the problem with the septic system, but if we tried to move that whole thing, I'm sure we would run into another problem. With the well, I don't know. But,
Well, on
Just-
this one, the well is in the opposite. It's in that
Right, I
that
see.
easterly corner. So there's, you know, we've got the room there. I'd have to look at it and see if we can move that septic a little bit landward in order to accommodate that shift and still keep that 150-foot separation that we need to the, from that septic to the well. I'd have to look at that.
Okay, well, I'll leave that in then, Matt, to try to move that out of there. I didn't see an existing dry well for the pool. If there isn't one, I think we should have one.
There should be, if it's a fairly recent, pool, so it should be in there.
I
It
didn't,
wasn't on the plan, but
I didn't see any indication of it.
Yeah, I
think-
didn't see it in the town records. And these, I'll check with the previous contractor and see if he's got a location on the, on a pool dry well.
Okay,
So I can check on that and add it to that plan as, if there is one, and if there's not one, then we can add a proposed dry well to it.
okay. And the last thing was, that changed. I checked everything. 15.4 with the elevation of the test hole was fine.
Mhm.
So that's it for that one that I had. Anybody else have anything? It's a nice, I mean, the only thing is we should again have a sign that says where the house is. There's no sign in the street. Help people get to it and the fire department. But besides that, that should be the planning board should take care of that. And that's, okay, that's that one.
vote on it, or?
Vote on that one. Did we vote on the other one? Yeah, did we? On the,
No.
oh, I got to vote. Thanks for reminding.
We'll stick with this one first, then we'll go back.
Okay,
Question everybody.
okay, everybody have any objections to what the 4 items we picked up? Actually, 3 items we picked up.
Yeah.
Should we go with the 3 items and
Yeah.
propose? Okay, so, okay, everybody make a motion, we accept the 3 items? Everybody vote, 5-0. Okay, I'm sorry about the first one, to get into vote on these things. Liberty Lawn Care, again, that was a very simple one, it's just a matter of checking some things. Anybody have any objections to the things we have, so vote on that one?
Yep.
Okay, let's vote. Aye.
Aye.
5-0 on that one. Okay, let's see. Last one. Put this up. Is Keller Wetlands. This one is 56A Cartwright Road. Not the easiest thing to find, the A, because on the street it doesn't say A, but it's, you drive down and it's the house before the end. And basically what they're doing is putting a second story onto the house, a partial second story.
Mhm.
Again, it's, of course, Matt.
Yep, that's another one of
It's
mine.
you, Matt. So,
I'm like a bad smell that just doesn't. go
no,
away.
it's very good, Matt. I appreciate your comments. It's always good advice that you give us. Thank you. Okay. Now, on new construction in the vegetative buffer. New deck is 84 square feet. Let's get this out here, see what that is. What you're doing is coming out here and then adding a second story on this. They're removing this existing
Oh,
deck on
okay.
the side.
It's on Christian Drive, right?
No, all right.
His brother's road.
Oh, his brother's.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
They are close. I would recommend, a thick silt fence and,
oh, we got all that.
Else.
They have that all shown. That's
Right,
fine.
right.
That's fine. It's just that they want to expand that house. And each one be permitted. Let's see.
They're just gonna go up.
Yeah, and only part, right, Matt? They're only doing half the house? Isn't that correct? Going up?
That's correct. On the landward side of the house.
Yeah,
that
the
landward,
west side. Yeah, the west.
third to a half. Yeah, exactly. It's going up for a second floor, right?
Right. Now, they're taking out that deck that runs along the one side, which is good. But then they're filling in that one little portion of the deck, which is 89 square feet.
Right, that becomes, existing deck becomes interior to the house, so it becomes living space.
Is there going to be any work in the foundation there, though?
Well, yeah, of course.
So you're going to be working in that area?
Mhm. Yep.
Which is in the,
In the vegetative buffer.
yes.
So that distance is going to be 61.4 feet from the closest point of the wetlands to the closest point of that conversion area.
So, then that portion would, I guess you're going in with the 100 square feet of that one, that new construction?
Not
Okay.
necessarily, because we've also got the two small sections of deck that square off that deck on the water side. You got the 44 square foot
Right.
section of deck and the 40 square foot section on the opposite side. Those are new deck. The existing deck is going to end up being rebuilt with that 84 square foot of addition within the vegetative buffer. So if the town wants us to use the 100 square foot exemption for those because they're new construction, or if they want us to use the 100 square foot exemption for the conversion of the existing deck to new building, six one way, half dozen the other. From my perspective, as far as however the town would want us to approach that, I would think that the conversion of the deck to living space is a that exemption for new construction. I don't think it would necessarily be appropriate for that area, so it would probably be more appropriate for those that 84 square feet of decking that's truly new construction.
Well, that new decking, you're going to follow just the piles going down. There's no foundation under it.
Right. Yeah. Right. Just like a standard deck. You got it. Yeah.
So what you're doing, then you're going to add a foundation under the whole house that goes up and takes in that little addition that fill in on that deck?
No. The foundation under the majority of the house will stay as is. That was John Congdon did an evaluation of that as a structural engineer and
Right.
came up with the plan saying that the existing foundation is sufficient to support continued use on that property.
So I would rather that not be counted as the 100 square feet. I mean, the squaring off of the deck is really the 100 square feet, I guess. It's actually 89. The deck is 84 square feet, I'm sorry. And that addition would be 89 square feet. So it's a little bit above the 100 for the whole thing. I don't know. What do you think?
I had a question on the septic. Matt, I put a new septic system in there maybe 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I see are they going to keep the rings themselves and just add a IA instead of a septic tank, or is the whole thing going to get redone again?
The permit we've got is to redo the whole thing, but what we'll do is when you dig into this thing, if the rings can be kept, then we'll just certify those rings at the time of construction.
They're going in
but
the same location, right?
Same general location. Yep. Yeah. And the wells are so far away that it's, as long as we can get them in there and keep them, far enough from the property line and the buildings, then we're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was, if I remember right, that was a nasty crane job there. They hadn't, the garage, I don't think was there at the time we did it, and it was like 40 feet of sand or something through water. So, I mean, to do that all over again, I don't know if it's even possible. So, I mean, the same location's fine because we have sand in there, but is it got 6 foot pools in there now, or?
Hold
No, it
on,
doesn't
we,
say.
No, we didn't certify the existing pool, so I don't know what's in there in the ground now, but for the proposed plan, we've got 8-foot pools on the proposed plan, 2 8-foot pools.
Okay, because I think they're 6 foot now, so that, just taking them out just adds a bigger, deeper pool.
Yeah, so, and if we take them out in the same location, then you'll have
Right.
that good backfill that's already in there for them.
Right, okay. That won't be a big deal.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'd be a project, because it was a mess.
Yeah, because they're removing the existing septic that's shown on the water side.
As long as they're going in the same spot, that's,
No, it's going back by the garage.
yeah, but that's where they are now. They're in the same spot, right, Matt?
There's a septic on the water side of the house. and then
Right,
there's
Yeah,
a
that's
septic
going.
on- What's that?
That's going though, right? The one on the water
Yeah,
side?
Yes,
that's going
it-
away. Right.
Yeah, so it's all going to that back by the garage, and that's where the existing is now, the same
That's,
spot.
yeah, that's where the new one that was installed not too long ago was. Yep. you're
Right,
So
okay,
that's
all right,
that's
good.
going back in the same location.
Okay, good.
so do we
And
want
the
to
test
say,
hole the test hole we had on that one was, we had clay and clayey sand down to like 34 feet below grade. So
Right.
it was pretty bad for quite a ways.
Yeah. That was it.
right, water and brown clay say.
Made a horrendous mess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it looks like it's, looked to me like it was a whole new system going in.
Yeah, it's just in the same location,
The same,
because it's, yeah.
okay.
So when we put that in, that old system out front on the water side, that wasn't abandoned?
I don't know if it was abandoned or not. I had no record of it being abandoned.
Yeah,
We
it was
did a
before-
FOIL on the health department and this was all approved by the health department. So it went to them and they didn't say anything about it being abandoned. So
Right.
if it was, we would just have to certify that for the, when the new project occurs, we would have them go in and check and make sure that that was properly abandoned. And if it wasn't, then abandon it.
Right. I'll have to look at my records and see what, I forget.
Okay, well, I guess, so is, Matt, you're gonna certify that the existing septic is what is shown there then?
No, it's
Gonna
just,
change?
I was just curious if it's going in the same spot, because it was such a nightmare to do it.
Oh,
What
We'll
ends
do
up
that.
happening with these applications when we're replacing an existing septic, if there's certain components in like a project like this one, if let's say the leaching pools are the right size and in the right location, if
Right.
once construction starts, if we can inspect them and certify them and they're okay, then we do that certification to the health department rather than put in a whole new set of leaching pools. What I'll typically do in a project like this is rather than go and do a pump out and inspection and certification of the leaching pools ahead of time, try to save the property owners a couple $1,000s in fees and do it during construction. Because you end up at the exact same point at the end of the project. It just saves some time and saves some cost as you're going through the intermediary steps.
Right, we got to do it anyway.
Yeah.
so the septic system was installed, it says here, it was approved on 8/9/21?
That's the one that has not been installed yet. That's the one that will be installed if we get these approvals.
Okay, so that's the one shown on the plan then, right?
Right.
With the two
Exactly.
leaching pools and the
Yep.
expansion pool.
Yes.
So that take care of that one. So
Yeah.
what we have on this is really not much. It's just that one section of the deck being converted to a building, a foundation they added. In the, we can't count both of them as 100, so,
No, you wouldn't. Yeah.
no. So I would say the house portion is the most important one to put in. And maybe the deck, if it's on piles, it really don't bother me that much.
No, it's, I don't,
Piles.
no problem.
It's not a foundation, as long as it goes, is this the plan that was almost like hand drawn, I think?
Yes. The architect on this one was
Yeah,
Eileen Santora, and she does. She's old school, so she's got
That's
hand-drawn architectural plans. Yeah.
it's good. Yeah, I remember that being there. I said, oh, boy, somebody in my era. It was very good. Okay, so the only thing is that the squaring will allow the 89 square feet for the building, fill in the building fill. And something with the decks that we can take, I don't know what we want to do. I really don't, I think
I don't have a problem with
I
it.
don't see any, as long as it's on piles. Well, no, this portion isn't there, they're squaring it off, but the existing is on piles.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind that that deck that's to the, what's the direction? It's the west, I think. No, the
That's
south,
right.
that deck that's to the south of the house, between the house and the property line.
Is
You got
removed.
155 square feet of deck coming out of the vegetative buffer and another 205 square feet of deck coming out of the adjacent regulated area. So the net ends up being less, where we're having a reduction in overall coverage in the vegetative buffer and the adjacent regulated area by virtue of removing those sections of deck.
Right, but it's still above the 100 square foot.
Right, yeah.
So I would say we should keep it at 100 square feet being added. This is a hard one to watch, but. I think the decks were in the 75 square foot, right? The 75 foot. Because on the
Yeah.
site plan, it shows the radius of the 100, I didn't bring my engineering scale.
The site plan has both the
61.
75 foot and the 100 foot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got it, right. All that decking is in the 75. So I would only recommend to 100 square foot in the regulated area. Not in the buffer, yeah. Regulated area. And that's the foundation will go in there, the 89 square foot will have a foundation under it, which it doesn't have now. So we can allow that, but then the decks, well, we'll allow the decks too. I think that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not touching anything
It's
besides.
just putting,
Yeah.
and you're taking out a lot, so, okay, so
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I think that makes sense.
That's fair.
Plus, he's putting in a new vegetative buffer and,
Mhm.
and a new system, so I think he's got some positives there, so.
Yeah.
It helps. So then I think what we're saying is we recommend the plans as shown,
Yeah.
as indicated, right?
All right.
Everybody, make a motion to recommend?
Yeah.
Okay, vote 5-0, recommend the plans as shown.
Good. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Matt, for your expertise on that. Always helps to have you here.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks.
Right, so that's the vegetation and wetlands plans. And with that invasive plant, Dan has sent the whole schedule there, but it's not in a.
Yeah, we're just gonna update it and
We're gonna
revise it.
clarify
Yeah,
it.
clarify
So,
everything so
so
she can get it
we
written
replace
into
what-
the actual website.
Yeah, right on to the.
Any new ones showing up?
Yeah, there's a few that I have on there, but we didn't, with all the confusion on my email.
He's having a problem.
I had a little bit of an issue, but it's fixed now. So we're gonna get that all put onto the actual website and then we'll review, I'll bring in some photos of the
Yeah, yeah.
plans so people can look out for them and,
Right.
we'll just kind of identify those on the next meeting.
That toxic weed that showed up came over from Connecticut. You know anything about that one? We're finding it on the causeway. Remember
Oh, yeah,
Eddie was talking about that.
Yeah,
It was a while back.
yeah.
They actually found some over there on the causeway. It was like,
really?
yeah, it was really super poisonous stuff.
Remember that?
I don't know if you know anything about that.
No,
Yeah.
blown up?
Yeah, it got in here. I think Jay Card knew about it too. This was a while back, a few years back, but they were actually digging it up and like carefully getting rid of it so it doesn't spread.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get more and more of that,
Yeah.
fortunately, yeah.
Is there, excuse me, still some of it left, do you know?
I don't know. That's why I was curious.
I mean, I'm sure it's there if it came over from Connecticut, because there's no way to stop
I
it.
would.
Stuff in that. Yeah. We need to know,
That's the thing too, because I'm looking at, New York State natives and all that, but
right?
with the river, who knows where it could come from?
Yeah. We need to know what it looks like. So stay away from it.
Exactly.
And you could still have seeds in the ground that weren't, they sprouted when they looked at it.
Right.
The next thing we have is Roxanne's article. I think we should submit that to the town. I guess, Jim, how would we do that, that you guys approve it before we put it into the reporter?
No, that's not a Gestapo, I don't think you definitely have to review it. I think if the committee sees fit and it's written well and
Right,
tell us what you want, we appreciate just send me a copy, a final copy. Let me look it over, and once I give my stamp, it doesn't have to go to the town board.
Yeah.
You guys can submit it anytime.
yeah.
That's over, that is just.
Just so, say something that might not be,
No, I
you can have my copy here.
okay, I'd appreciate that,
Yep.
that'd be helpful.
To you, so we have, all right.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Right, what else do we have?
No, not you.
Well, I'm all ready for next month anyway.
Okay, all right, and I'll read this tomorrow and.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing, we should make some minor corrections on it, but that's,
Do I have a copy of that?
you should have.
In this, I've got so much stuff here. Anyway.
Okay, the next thing is Jim's report. Okay. Brown Elias. It's on. If you're not ready, I have.
No, I'm ready.
Okay, I have something else I want to add, but
So, I think what came about, last meeting was this cry to jump on pesticide regulations a little bit. So immediately after last February's meeting, I went right to the town board, I went to Stephen Kiley, who's our town attorney. Said, what can we do? How do we tighten this up? Can we be more stringent? New York State DEC, he investigated, the answer was flat out, no. You're subject. And I confirmed that because I said, you know what, I just want to call the New York State DEC. I called the New York DEC, and we are in Area 1, or Zone 1, which I'll go through this a little bit. There are 3 pesticides that are outlawed in New York State right now. One of them is DDT. I thought anti-disestablishmentarianism, which has 26 letters in it, has less letters than DDT. It has 30. I won't even attempt to pronounce it, but that's one of the 3. And of course, New York State outlawed that in 1972. And that was when the osprey population was down, and we were finding out that when the osprey were devouring the fish, that 2 had DDT in it, the fish had the DDT in it, of course it was in the water. And obviously, the eggshells become very thin, and when the female would sit down on the eggs would actually break, and therefore we weren't getting any reproduction out of osprey. And the osprey numbers started to crash after several years, after decades really using DDT. There are 2 other ones. Most of them are insect control, Aldrin and this other one, Deldrin here. They were used primarily on corn and potato crops, 2 things that we grow a lot of on the east end of Long Island in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right on through, and still to this day, we still grow, both crops. Obviously, back then, we grew a lot more potatoes. I think at one time, eastern Long Island grew more potatoes than the state of Idaho grew. And now you have the famous Idaho potato that seems to obviously be the #1 state that produces potatoes. But these 3 have been banned. The penalties have been established. As I said, Steve Kiley's looked for more stringent regulations. But then I called the state, and I spoke to the gal who was in charge. And she said, basically, here's what you can do. There's 2 things that you need to focus in on. One is education. You have to educate the public. It's more important here than a place like Carl Place and Mineola, because the people, that's not a vacation town. People live there 365 days a year. So if you educate them, that Shelter Island is different. 75% of the population is only here for a month, 2 months, 3 months, or part of the season. And so therefore the education really has to go on, because when you move out here, they get on their property, somebody comes to them and says, hey, listen, you don't want your grandkids getting ticks. You got to, people lie it, oh, ticks, my God, they find out about ticks and all the ill effects. Yeah, spray. And they start to get into the idea that if spraying is good for 6 months, it's even better for 12, because ticks can live even in the dead of winter now, because winter is no longer winter. When Pedro was growing up here as a lad,
Right.
Winters have changed dramatically. So things have changed. So people's thinking, they can be swayed very, very easily. However, every product that is sprayed, you have to be licensed, and you must be licensed. Is there anybody on Shelter Island that would be spraying without a license? Probably. The idea is you'd have to find them. But most people have a license, and to get the license involves a lot of training, and it's continual training. It's not like you get your license and you don't get it's like an EMT. You got to go back and keep getting recertified because there's new information coming out about it. So it's pretty stringent, but education and outreach is what they're preaching. So my thing is, and I discussed this with the town board, and I'll discuss it with you, throw it out there. There are 3 committees here in the town that are very much involved with this. CAC, you guys, Green Options, yes, and that's Tim Bertel and his group, and the WAC, Peter, and his group there on the WAC. All 3 of those groups have brought up in the last times I've been here, the last 7, 8 years, things about spraying. Well, the people that speak the loudest on this subject are the shellfish men, and they're constantly, a guy like Tommy Field comes in, he'll come in once a year, twice a year, say, I'm gonna tell you a story, I've gotta listen, you gotta do something about it, I'm out in my boat, and then people are spraying, the wind is 25 miles an hour, they're right up to the bulkhead, and they're spraying stuff, and it's coming on my boat, it's getting in the water. So these things are important. So what they recommend, obviously, so I will read something to you about enforcement. In New York State, they employ 300 environmental conservation police officers, 300 in the entire state. So every one of these patrol officers is responsible for monitoring approximately 400 square miles. That's a 20 by 20. So if you look at East End, you're looking at something like from Riverhead out to the Points. And probably because we have the Forks, it's not even 400 square miles there. You probably have to go west of that a little bit. You got one person in all of these communities with hundreds of people, if not thousands of people having their lawn sprayed and other things sprayed for them. So you can help, and they urge you to do this because they're driven by this, reporting every environmental conservation law violation that you observe or suspect. To ensure a prompt response to your complaint, please be prepared to provide a detailed information when reporting the violation of this law. The number is, and I gave it to you, it's 1-844-DEC-ECOs. That's the environmental. To report of the poaching or polluting complaints to the DEC dispatcher. They operate 24/7. She urged me, if you have a cell phone and you see something going on and your neighbor is out there, I mean, the first thing to do, obviously, and I go through let me just go through this first. The enforcement objectives, there are 3 of them. Objective number 1, demand strict compliance. Objective, and I wrote up something on that. Objective number 2, establish an enforcement presence. Number 3, so therefore, when we reach out, everybody's a potential reporter of this and helps in enforcement. Without people picking up the phone and calling, they'll never know. They're not out there. They can't possibly see what we all see. And objective number 3 is be consistent in imposing sanctions for non-compliance. She goes on to say, I said our three major concerns were spraying in close proximity to wetlands, spraying when winds in excess of 15 to 20 miles an hour, and spraying when, like on a day like today. If you sprayed and you knew heavy rains are coming in, and in the wintertime, the ground's still frozen, all that stuff just washing into the wetlands. So that's the thing I keep hearing from them, those three major concerns. Labels. Every product that is sprayed must be on the approved list. That's number one. Every product has a product label which must be followed. Temperature, wind, weather conditions, etc. They are all well-established and defined regulations that must be followed by all pesticide companies and applicators. The RX, again, education and outreach programs. And the programs, we have them available through New York State DEC, which he is gonna send me. The other thing is Mark, who's obviously in the Cornell Cooperative Extension, already has programs on this. So Mark, being a member of this, if we just tap Mark into coming, we can probably run those programs right on Channel 22. So now is probably not a great time to run it, but when the population comes back, you run it once a week or twice a week. You put it in the paper, here's what we're gonna, if you're spraying your lawn, you wanna know a little bit more about this, this is when we're gonna run it, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon, or at 9 o'clock in the morning, or whenever we decide to run it. And and I mentioned Mark's role there. I also said other efforts that we could try. Getting neighborhood associations involved. I was the president of Silver Beach Association. We have a yearly meeting. And so does A Beach, and so does Ram Island. So all these associations have meetings. Either bring a speaker in, bring a program, or give them pamphlets. She'll get us the pamphlets. Hand it out to everybody. We had 70 people come to our meeting. Not 200, but we get 70. We get a third of them, a little more than a third, 35, 36%. People live in Silver Beach come to that. Hand them the packet so that they can read through that information. Green options. Let's make it a priority at the annual Green Options Fair. Number 3, reaching out to local landscape companies. Again, most of them are totally aware of this and respond very, very appropriately. Number 4, a new theme, which we can develop. I just happen to say ROE, R-O-E, respecting our environment. Colette Rowan just passed away, so I'm thinking, I'm thinking, respect our environment. As part of a larger effort to protect Shelter Island Aquifer. And complaints, how do you handle complaints? My whole thing of being president of Silver Beach for 12 years was every one of these complaints, first, we're neighbor to neighbor. If you see it happen, just go over and say something. Hey, Joe, can I talk to you? Susan, can I talk to you? I saw the guy over the other day, yesterday spraying, it was like blowing 20 miles, 25 miles an hour right up against your bulkhead. You gotta talk to him about that. I beg you, because, and educate the person. If you have an extra pamphlet, hand the person a pamphlet. So reaching out to neighbor, homeowner to landscaper, that's something you should be, or your pesticide applicator, talking to them. What products are we putting down? Are there safer products? Are there more environmentally friendly products? Do I have to use these kind of fertilizers? And again, beyond even that, getting into the area of fertilizers. Can I cut back on certain types of fertilizers? What would you recommend that are more environmentally friendly? I'm willing to pay a few extra bucks to put safer products down on my lawn. And finally making a complaint to New York State DEC if all else fails. Again, I think that's the kind of effort I think that needs to go into this. It's not going to be foolproof, but if you truly, it's what the people have to realize is, excuse the expression, bitch and complain all you want. You got to be part of the solution. Part of the solution, you sets the tone yourself. You can't be out there doing these things and then ask your neighbor to do something. You've got to set the standard. And you got to also, when you approach these neighborhood association people, say, you got to make a strong point here. This is a point of emphasis for this year's summer meetings with your local population. Got to educate them. Same way we have to educate all the rented communities that come in about the aquifer and respect, showers, it's okay maybe if you live up to the lake is full and you can take a 20-minute shower. A shower for a guy, you're in and out in 2.5, 3 minutes. For a woman, it might be 4 or 5 minutes, but it's not more than 5 minutes. So, I mean, we all educate our families when they come to the house on topics like this. But I just think that the almighty tick has, driven people to all kinds. Again, I can't for the life of me understand, why we have to put down these kinds of pesticides.
Jim, the thing is, I think the real question is how effective are they anyway, really?
Correct.
And the thing is, they kill everything else.
Correct.
And the ticks are probably fine.
Correct.
So I mean,
the leaf litter, if you rake up, if you control your leaf litter a little bit, and if the grandkids are over and you're surrounded by a wooded area, don't have those grandkids run in the wooded area. And if they run in the wooded area, good, having a good time, check them over.
Yeah.
Give them a good check.
They had-
Make sure that,
they had ticks when I was a kid. I mean,
Yeah.
they've been here forever.
All over the
We
world.
also had pheasant, we also had quail.
Yeah.
We had,
talked a lot
we didn't have turkeys.
One thing I noticed on Shelter Island, and we now are getting data for the very, very first time from the medical center, Mr. Gelb was not giving us that, but get two very important data. One from the pharmacy.
Right.
All tick-related RXs. And now we got Dr. Potter, who's registering all of the tick bites and the positive, you definitely know. And by the way, we have a new tick on it, down eastern Long Island and has just arrived, which I think they'll write it up in the paper.
Which one is this?
I forget the name of it, I have it written down here, but it came in from, Asia.
Of course.
And it's becoming, it's spreading very, very rapidly. So far, no problem to humans, but can be a problem to animals. So dogs, things like that.
Sure, they'll adjust that.
So, it's ever changing, but we have to be aware of it, that's all.
Yeah.
I've looked at pesticides over the years and stuff like that, and we gotta find out, I don't know pesticides that well. I know there's two that seem to will not damage beneficial insects, which is the praying mantis, the
Yes.
ladybugs.
I have a ton of praying mantis.
Which are all of them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them.
Oh, I have them, I have.
I have to come borrow some.
No, I have a ton of them in my house.
Yeah, but that's my concern, that the pesticides
Yeah.
kill the beneficial. And I mean, I'm not gonna look at every can and know what this thing, what it does or something. I hope that the authorities doing this, the DEC, has a list and has looked at, as far as I know, there's two that are pretty good. One is cedar oil, the other one is neem, NEEM. It's from a South American plant. And they don't bother the ladybugs or praying mantis and other beneficial.
See, when we developed this list, the products are now, you can go right on the internet and list all the safe products, new safe products that address these kind of insects. And make a list of them, and get them into the green options, get them out. You gotta be, this is a group, even more so than the other two groups. But we do have a lot of concern with WAC, we have a lot of concern with green options. In the future, in this spring, it would be great to get maybe the committee chairs and one member of the committee, so you have 6 people. So everybody you pick one in somebody, and the other 2 committees, you meet up here on a Saturday, maybe for, Saturday morning from 9 to 10:30, and put a game plan together, what we can do. Maybe in springtime, or summer, how we're gonna attack this, and I'll get, working through the liaisons, we should be able to get access to Channel 22 to be able to get these informational pieces up. Having a guy like Mark that produces, produce these things at CCE, I've seen them, and they're pretty good. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have programs already established that we can put on the air that help educate the public.
Neighborhood associations are a good thing. How can we get a lot of these pamphlets? The SIA, the Shelter Island Association, has I think 10 neighborhood associations that would be beneficial with this.
Yes.
But each one has, like you say, maybe 40, 50 people at a meeting. That's 500 brochures.
You know what I'll do though? You talk about, everybody, every neighborhood association pays dues.
Yes.
Pay $50 down at Silver Beach.
Right.
So part of that money, they want to know is going to a positive cause. So for us to buy, we know we're getting 70, 100 people at the meeting. So take out a few more than that. We have area vice presidents. So Silver Beach is divided into three zones. Each one of them covers 70. Take it upon yourself to get it at the meeting. Walk up on a June day, end of June, beginning of July, hand them out to everybody in your neighborhood that's zoned. How long would that take you? An hour and a half to get the word out? If half of them read it, if a third of the people read it, it's well worth the money spent. The association looks great because the association is going out of its way to protect the water supply in the Silver Beach area or wherever you happen to be represented. The only area that we need to a little more focus on is areas that don't have neighborhood associations, like the middle of the island, which I begged for years and years as I was vice president of the Shelter Island Association. Why don't we have at-large people you don't call yourself the Shelter Island Association if you don't represent the middle of this island. What happens is you become a bunch, and what happened with that organization, became a bunch of elitists.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I don't think there's a whole lot of tick spraying goes on in the middle of the island, to be honest.
No, I agree with that, but in the bigger picture, when it comes to water issues and septic
No, I
issues,
realize that.
they're not represented.
Yeah.
And it's a shame,
But the thing is most of the spraying is really going on along the shoreline.
but yes.
It really is.
But isn't it a shame?
But the thing is,
Leadership
let the-
never took it upon itself to go out and ask the center of this island to be represented.
Right.
On the Shelter Island
Right,
Association.
I understand. The thing is, I think let the turkeys put the money into the quail
Yeah.
and let them do their thing.
Oh, well,
Don't even, like the spraying thing they're not killing the ticks. Somebody's making money and everything else is dying.
Sure.
There hasn't been a leopard frog in this island in probably 20 years
All right.
due to pesticides. The toads, there's hardly any of them around anymore.
Code.
I mean, they're there, but in places where people aren't spraying. But I mean, just let everything come back, and I think you're not going to see them like the ticks. Like this winter, we haven't had a winter. I haven't even seen a tick this winter yet. I mean, I've got a flock
To
of
be
ticks.
honest with you, I've been out with the camera and I have not had a tick on me.
Yeah, I haven't either. I mean, I've got a flock of them around my property.
Have you?
Knock on wood, I'm not saying it, but
Yeah.
not yet.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, it's been very good. It has been cold.
No, I know, I thought for sure those 70-degree
But the
days.
advertisement of what they're selling everybody is, hey, listen, unless it's down to sub-freezing temperature for extended period, ticks are out 365.
Well, you can't believe anything you hear.
Maybe they're not so, maybe you can't assure people that if it goes down to 15 degrees for 3 days, that you can say that they're not gonna be around. But we're over pushing it, because we're in the product of money, making money.
Yeah,
We're pushing a product,
but the turkeys have to eat something.
right?
There's not much out there, the ticks. So they're doing a pretty good number on them.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got flocks around your house.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't have anything. They come through the woods, they go through everything.
They go through everything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's big flocks in the old Ryan farm. You see, hundreds sitting in.
Yeah, you got to feed a 10, 15 pound bird. It takes some,
I had a gentleman come in
Energy.
this morning here and say to Judy, by the way, why is Shelter Island going out and hunting the turkeys? I mean,
why aren't they?
yeah, why are they?
Oh,
It's defenseless, but which are doing this job of eating, and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
it's hard sometimes to give a straight answer, but everything's balanced. If we're concerned about the environment.
I think it's a season. This
This is the first year the DEC just opened a spring season.
Yeah.
So that'll start May 1st, which we'll see how that goes over because that will be with a gun.
Yeah.
It's a gun season, so,
It's May 1st,
yep, May 1st, so,
so it's only a week,
no, I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, but it's the first one that we'll ever have, for spring. We've
Right.
had a fall season for a while.
I'm anxious because we'll have the flyover numbers in another week. The flyover was done about 4 weeks ago, but Bo should have those numbers to us. And the coal ratio has been decent, running at least to what last year was, if not a little more. But the only thing they're finding out is the deer are smaller. And why the deer are smaller? Because it's less meat being donated per deer, simply because of the acorns. There were no acorns, to fatten them up. So, I mean, so the young deer, the fawns, didn't get very big. And the ones they did take, they're pretty small deer, overall.
Did
It's
you
also
find,
stress too. Consistent hunting
Yes,
Yeah.
causes stress, and that also causes
Yeah.
smaller deer.
no, they're running habitat wise, I mean, as the building goes on and on and on, they are starting to run out a little out of habitat.
Yep.
Yeah.
did you find a lot of ticks on the deer this year when you were?
I didn't do any culling this year.
Oh, you didn't?
Nope.
Nothing, huh? Wow.
Nope. I think the numbers are pretty, in check now, so I don't feel a need to.
In the wintertime.
Push them any lower.
I used to go to Neshoba about 10 years ago, the only place you really find ticks in the wintertime, the cold winter, is around the genital areas. You
Right.
don't find them on the face, neck, and like we do in the summertime, where
Right.
you look at an ear and you see
Yeah, yeah.
50 of them in each ear,
Right, right.
You don't see that during the wintertime.
Right.
They have a tendency to move in closer to the body.
Yeah, they do actually, deer do clean them off themselves.
I would think so. Most
They do.
animals,
But, in that summertime when there's just so many out, I don't think they have a choice with that.
No. But we'll look into that. I mean, I'll get a hold of Tim and Peter,
That'd be
and we'll
great.
set something up and talk about
Let me
it.
know when you're gonna do it. I'll
Yeah.
come up and,
I'll call him, I'll talk to him.
When are you gonna do the next quail release? When's that gonna be?
I have to talk to Sean, we have to figure out, that hardening process of getting them into a pen in a transitional period instead of just
I
letting them
think
go.
I think that'll be big.
Yeah, it's gonna be big. I mean, it was an experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're starting
I still say-
ground zero.
it's
So
just-
we have to learn these things just like anyone else.
Yeah.
Um,
But once there's wild ones established, the other ones will hook right up with
Oh,
them.
for sure, yeah.
And go, and they'll be fine. It'll take maybe 5 years.
You'll be releasing an older bird,
Yeah,
and which it'll be great.
Right.
And they'll be a little more savvy than
Yeah.
than the young ones.
But also they'll mix in with the ones that are already savvy
Yeah.
too, which,
Yeah,
that'll be pretty good.
All right.
all right.
Let me just add some new business. For the next meeting, we have a couple of wetland that we're gonna look at. Loftus Hills and Tam at 169 Ram Island Drive. And the next one is Cheekwood Avenue LLC at 7 Cheekwood Avenue. That'll be in the minutes of the meeting that we'll get that, so, and got them there.
Yeah, got 'em there.
Got them. We're supposed to, just tomorrow night, we're gonna have, the other thing is I'm gonna set up that we have a week to visit with, who's ever in charge of these two projects. I don't know if it's Matt or something. Matt gets back to me pretty good. That the owner allow us on the property for March 27th, the week of March 27th, just the week before Easter, so we interfere with
On
anybody.
which property?
What is it? The Cheekwood,
Oh, Cheekwood.
7 Cheekwood Avenue and 169 Ram Island Drive.
Okay. No, I'm saying which one is, do they only want you during that week? Oh, either one. Okay.
Whenever I give a week, we
Oh,
got
okay.
7 days, whenever you can make it, that's all we can do. I mean, like a day like tomorrow, you're not gonna go out and look at a piece of land, so you gotta find some.
That was 10 Cheekwood?
Seven
Cheekwood.
Cheekwood.
Sorry.
So those two we'll look at and hopefully we'll get it. But otherwise, I think we're pretty well set for tonight. I think I appreciate everybody coming and our guest, Pam, do you have anything? Or Lori?
Or Roxanne?
I'd just like to make a comment about the pesticide situation. I've worked in hazardous waste for many years and tested things for pesticides and herbicides and all kinds of things, soil and wastewater. And one of the things I think could be a possibility for the community is to go to the local nurseries and restrict what they sell to the public. Because it's been my experience in the industry that the guys who have the licenses to apply pesticides do it by the law, and they do it by the book. As Mr. Colligan said, they do a lot of training, they have to get credits, go to classes every year, keep up their licenses, and they're well aware of what they're allowed to use on the environment. But JQ Public is not. And if it's sold on the island, and someone comes to the house, and they're having a party, and let me just go and see what they have at the hardware store that I can spray as a defogger in my yard for the night, they're going to buy that product. And I think that that's more where the education on pesticides should be diverted, rather than the professionals who do in fact get the licenses for it. And then the only other question I have a question about you folks. Where is your jurisdiction in regard to site plan reviews? Because the lawn company here, Liberty Lawn, is actually a site that, in Reed's letter, he mentions that it's a site plan review. It's not a special permit for, you know, excessive square footage or anything else. It's a site plan review. Is that part of your jurisdiction?
Well, almost everything is part of the CAC. I mean, it's all properties on the island, all parks, and but our main focus is wetlands. But we'll look into the site. I know that's part of the town code, at the site plan review. But basically, it's more or less for commercial buildings, I think. It's not really for the residents yet. It's just like the pesticide code is 3 paragraphs in this town code. We have to look at that and review it, but I appreciate you bringing that up, Pam. I know Meredith and Dave at the ACE, they're very concerned about pesticide use.
I was just writing the note, because Pam, that was a great comment about the sellers there, but I know Ace Hardware, she is a bee collector, so they've stopped selling Roundup and certain other products on their own. Not, we're told that they couldn't. They've taken the initiative themselves, but that too should be applauded and broadcasted to other people as well, you know?
Right. I think
That's really where you'll make a difference. And in regard to the site plan review, Howard, I
Yes.
know it's businesses, but this is a commercial building that he's putting on this property in in the C zone. So I'm just referencing Reed's denial letter about it. And there's been some confusion lately on these site plan reviews. We had an earlier project that was approved and it didn't seem like it went through the proper site plan review. I don't know who in town is in charge of following up and going
for
through
the
the
planning
list
board.
in chapter 109.
what was that address, Pam?
The previous one was the 14-man wearing
14-man wearing.
that was presented in the public hearing, that it was a special permit, but it was actually site plan review. And the questions were answered in a peculiar space on Matt Sherman's plans. So it wasn't really clear in the paperwork what was really happening with that project. So I just.
What team? That's
It seems to be
Chris
someone else.
Johnson.
Oh, Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson, yeah. I actually went through that and, you know, my only comment was that the electric wasn't shown on the plan. It's mentioned, but it's not shown. And it's a business zone. I don't know. We
think that's
put
for the-
those comments up to the town board and, you know, we made our recommendations. It's up to the town board to act on that.
Yeah, and I know the planning board had put in their report for that project that in fact it required site plan review, but it didn't ever really seem to go through that process. So, okay, that's not in your purview.
No, but thank you.
Thinking maybe,
Okay.
could we maybe do something like having an article on the hardware store, what they're doing?
Well, we'll add that into an article on pesticides, and
Yeah.
what local businesses have done
That's
for
right,
us
yeah.
on the island to give them
Yeah.
something. And I don't know, your cousin Sean, what's he doing on that?
I get their permission first before, you know, if
Yeah, oh no, I would, definitely, and just talk to them. I want to go there anyway and look at what they have on their shelf, so look at it, so. But that's a good comment, we'll take care of that.
it won't turn your white hair black, I'll tell
I
you.
won't,
It won't regrow those roots.
no, it won't. All right, anybody else?
Good.
Good, everybody? All right.
All right, motion to adjourn?
5-0.
8:42.
That's pretty good. That's good. There are 3 of them. And next time, for next time,
Yeah, there you go.
Jim, that hearing tomorrow, I'm going to try to make it, because